This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Looking for your next go-to smoke shop? Stop scrolling. I've got you. Headshop.com is the #1 online smoke shop, already trusted by over 100,000 happy smokers, just like you. They've got it all. Dab rigs, vaporizers, glass bongs, smoking pipes, even THCA flower, all in one place. Need a new daily driver? Grab a smooth glass bong or a classic smoking pipe. More of a concentrate fan? Their dab rigs, e-rigs, and wax accessories are designed for smoother, harder-hitting sessions. And yes, they've even got legal THC flower. Best part? Every order ships fast and discreet, which is why thousands of smokers keep coming back. So don't waste time hopping between shops. Shop the best in dab rigs, vaporizers, glass bongs, smoking pipes, and THCA flower right now at Headshop.com, the #1 online smoke shop. Headshop.com has what you need. Check it out today. Oh, and because you're listening right now, you get 10% off your next order when you use the coupon code HSHOP at checkout. Go to Headshop.com now and smoke smarter.
Man.
Herbert with a back to his left out of the shotgun. Fade, right side, end zone, caught, touchdown, Lad McConkey, who blew by Jeff Okuda like he was tied to a post. It'll blow your mind now. Tight end in motion to the left of Herbert. He rolls out to the right, looking to the end zone. Now he's between the hash marks, flicks it to the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown, LA Chargers. That is Trey Harris, the Mississippi rookie, with his first National Football League touchdown reception. Herbert has thrown 3, and the Chargers lead 30-10. That fastball went right to a member of the LA Chargers. It's an interception with a pass intended for Jefferson. R.J. Mickens, that Clemson rookie, picked it off, and he returned it 15 yards, just like that. At all. Throws merges Xavier Scott on a gun run, heads to the right side across the line of scrimmage to the 35, and he will bounce off a Charger nicely. That's a gain of 10 yards and a Vikings first down. We're now down to 10 seconds to go in the game, and that's going to be it. The Vikings won't run another play. They're going to hoist the white flag. And the LA Chargers improved to 5-3. The Minnesota Vikings dropped to 3-4 after losing 37-10 to the LA Chargers.
And get on stage and press play in front of all them fans. No way. You had to have a band that could really play. And that's a reveal. Cause this is the placebo. It's a real deal. Call it receive. A freakish collector with the cover.
Hey! Chanhassen, Minnesota. What's going on? Y'all ready to have some fun today with KFAN 9 to noon and the Friday football? What? It's the Friday football feast. The Nick Madden and his street team, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause. And that street team would be A+ of all A+ if they actually took some shirts and threw them out to the crowd. Anybody want free shirts? Here they come. No, you go ahead and do it. No, man, they're on your table. Go ahead and do it. No, we're ahead of the curve here, brother. All right. Anybody want free shirts? I mean, come on. The football team's 3-4. You want free shirts. I mean, we're here to clothe you. We're here to feed you. And we are here to hopefully provide you entertainment via 9 to noon and FM 100.3, KFAN and the Friday football feast. Nick Madden and his street team. Jared Wells, ladies and gentlemen. J-Dub is our engineer.
He's the best.
And the engineer for the KFAN Minnesota Vikings vast and ever-expanding audio network. So he will be in Detroit this weekend with yours truly. Alec will be there, too. Alec as in Alec Lewis from The Athletic, ladies and gentlemen. He's a co-host of the Friday Football Feast. Mad producer, Nordo, producer of 9 to noon. He's a co-host of the Friday Football Feast. And Devin Ward is guiding the great ship Love Covenant from FM 100.3 KFAN. Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody ready to have a funky good time this weekend on Halloween? Make a little noise, Chanhassen. Come on, I know this thing's 3-4. But it's a Friday into the weekend. It's Halloween, and everybody's going to get all loose today. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-4. All right. The game 8 days ago at SoFi against the LA Chargers proved Loserville indeed does sound better in FM. The Lions, as usual, are quite good and have beaten the Minnesota Vikings 5 consecutive times. But it's JJ season, ladies and gentlemen. JJ season. Take number 2. As in J.J. McCarthy. So let's get excited to watch this kid quarterback grow as the leader. Everybody following the Vikings hopes he will be. This Lions game has some priorities as 9 to noon rolls. And priority number 1 would involve said quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, and some form of improvement, some signs that we see from J.J. McCarthy, whether the Minnesota Vikings win or lose. Priority number 1, let's keep this quarterback on the field. Let's watch him improve, and let's continue to move on. Nordo, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, that's why I did that segment earlier this week is 3-4, that's ugly. Injury issues, ugly. The quarterback situation due to health, ugly.
Ugly.
And at this stage of the game, we're going into a weekend where Ford Field, Halloween-esque, might feel like a haunted house. But at this stage, the expectations need to be altered, and maybe our focus as a fan base needs to be altered. We want this team to win every game. There's no doubt about it. But after the build-up to seeing number 9 take the field opening night at Soldier Field, to the ankle injury, and then poof, he's gone for 6 weeks.
Preach.
The ability to see this kid back on the field, and at the end of this season, regardless of the record, again, I want a playoff team. I was sold on a roster that was a playoff team independent of a quarterback. That's what I wanted, and that's what I want. But with number 9 at the end of the season, I want to know what we have in this kid, and seeing some levels, whatever that is, materially of improvement, whether it's time and rhythm of the offense, decision-making, using that mobility, protecting himself in the pocket, having a couple of badass tackles at his disposal on Sunday certainly will help. But seeing that improvement from JJ is an A topic for me.
Alec Lewis covers the Minnesota Vikings for The Athletic and theathletic.com, which means he's at all the press conferences, including offensive coordinator Wes Phillips and or head coach Kevin O'Connell. He's gathering all of the steam during the course of the week. J.J. McCarthy, take number 2. What are you feeling? What are you hearing? And good morning.
First of all, I thought you were going to dress up.
I did. As Jay Leno.
I mean, we didn't talk about it. I expected you to walk in with some.
Ta-da!
What do I, with JJ.
And good morning.
Good morning,
Thank
too,
you.
by the way. With JJ, I'm kind of going to flip it. Like, the thought before this season was that he was being handed the keys to this Ferrari, and this has not been a Ferrari. It's been like a Mazda. And that's really, like, I know, no offense to anybody who drives a Mazda or Mazda if we're sponsored or endorsed by Mazda, but
Your local Mazda dealers brings you this portion of 9 to noon.
the fact is, the offensive line has not been nearly good enough. So much of that is a byproduct of health, and then the interior defensive line that was overhauled this offseason has not been good enough either. And the more I watch this league, the more I cover this league, it's really two things. Can you run the football? Can you stop the run?
Wow.
If you can't do those two things, it's probably not worth even talking about anything else. So around JJ this weekend, from a protection standpoint, can that group be engaged? And then defensively, can the Vikings take some of the pressure off of him for him to do what he needs to do, which is stay healthy, see the field well, get the ball out quick, and be accurate. Like that's the thing. When in the first 2 games, he held the ball too long and he wasn't accurate enough. Those have to rise to a certain level, but he has to be put in a position where not everything is absolutely on him for this thing to go okay Sunday.
Priority number 2, Sunday noon for the Boom, Ford Field, vast and ever expanding KFAN Minnesota Vikings audio network. Look the part of an organized bunch.
Yeah.
All right. Now, 8 days ago, when Loserville was sounding better in FM, looking the part of an organized bunch to a certain extent means limiting penalties and seeing things or enduring things in games offensively or defensively that aren't going the right way and not taking an hour for them to change. Those would be a couple of examples. This is a tough team to beat A, it's a tough team to beat. B, it's a tough team to beat in the penalty battle. C, it's a very tough team to beat in the turnover battle. This team is +6 in the turnover differential. They are number 1 in the NFL for forced fumbles. They are number 1 in the NFL with strip sacks. And they only have 5 gives this year. They've only given the ball away 5 times through 7 games. That's a 5th best in the NFL. So win one of those categories, and let's just look organized.
Yeah. For me, we talked about turning the page earlier this week, turning the page on these pre-snap penalties and just clomping around. And thankfully, again, due to the health of the offensive line, hopefully banking that into the weekend, the idea that you're going to have 4 out of your preferred 5, save for the center, of course, pre-snap penalties, weird holds, ineligible men downfield. I mean, if you want JJ to show improvement this weekend, a long Jordan Mason run that's taken back by a holding penalty and suddenly you're 1st and 20, you're setting your QB up for a lack of success. You're setting yourself up for a punt, and you're setting yourself up to lose a track meet against a team that doesn't make these mistakes. And from a defensive standpoint, just the tackling needs to improve. I mean, the organization of the team maybe in some ways leads to basic or fundamental execution of the team on Sunday. All those things off of Thursday into potentially a haunted house at Ford Field on Sunday, all that needs to be better.
And priority number 3, I mean, this really could have gone about 9 deep, but for the purpose of time, priority number 3, yours truly and several others will be looking for, is let's start establishing identities. All right. The 2025 Minnesota Vikings, sadly, lack identity. And it was very easy to find the identity of this team last year. I mean, you could start with Van Ginkel and Grenard and what they would pose from a threat standpoint off the edge against adversarial offenses. Now, the expectation absolutely is that Andrew Van Ginkel will play this weekend opposite Jonathan Grenard, who I believe will play despite some injury report terrorism. So let's start establishing identities, maybe with 43 and 58, with arguably as good an edge duo last year as any duo in the National Football League. That was a sweet identity. Alec, the identity of the 3 and 4 Vikings, is it null and void at this minute? And from a scribe standpoint, a covering standpoint, what are some things that you would think would be cool to save?
No, you're right. Like, that is, I mean, I remember in London in the post-game press conference after the win against Cleveland entering the bye week, one of the things that Kevin O'Connell talked about was like, we have to use this bye week to identify what our identities are. And it didn't, coming out of that, obviously losing 2 games, it doesn't feel like they've settled on any specific areas. I thought entering the season, and I said this many times with both you guys, that the defensive line and the run game were going to be the scaffolding of this team as they develop JJ into the season. And it really doesn't feel like the defensive line or the run game have been strengths at all. And I guess my question at this point is, can you now, 9 weeks into the season, get to a place where those things can be the identity? I don't know. But the run game for me, like obviously game script plays a part in how many times you're running the ball and the effectiveness, but just establishing that to be able to then run play action with JJ, which makes it easier for the quarterback, feels huge Sunday and moving forward.
Yeah, this play action you're about to see from the Detroit Lions, in case you forgot about it, it's high end. The quarterback barely gets sacked. He hits about 75% of his passes, second best in the NFL behind Drake May. And it is a lot of short stuff. They don't go over the top a lot. They try to beat you from 10 to about 20 or 25 and watch those guys run. So that's all coming up this weekend. Now, Alex Inclusion, 9 to noon, is courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com. And part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list includes one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football.
He just walked in.
Chad Greenway will return to the feast around the corner. Plus, we have much more coming up a little later. We thank you very much for joining us at Buffalo Wild Wings Chanhassen. Happy Halloween to you and your super special kids and everything. And make sure everybody has a great time and is all safe this evening, okay? We are at Buffalo Wild Wings Chanhassen, and we are feasting with Chad Greenway around the corner. But we do have some cash to give away, and Devin Ward is guiding the Great Chip Love Covenant, and Devin's going to handle that. Good morning.
Good morning, PA. The Fan and 2 Minute and Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win some bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Enter the keyword cash at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword cash. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Fan.
SRO at Buffalo Wild Wings Chanhassen. We didn't exactly know what the crowd would be like today with a 3-4 football operation, but football always wins, and this is KFAN, so we're not surprised. And that's why we said a couple of times during the course of the week, if you this Buffalo Wild Wings on the smaller side compared to some of our stops, make sure you arrive early, and they did. Hey! Thank you for coming out today. You guys are fantastic, man. We really appreciate that. And what we also appreciate is our first guest today. We have 2 on-site guests, and our first is one of the better defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football. He is one of the great tacklers in the history of Minnesota Vikings football. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get a witness and a raucous round of applause for Chad Greenway?
Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be back on site.
This is courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. Where have you been all our lives?
Yeah,
Holy
we
cow.
missed it.
You don't come to Monticello, which is understandable. You're in Lexington with your daughter. What was the first what was happening there? The first
That's her official visit.
Official visit.
Yep.
Thank you.
They paid for this one. That was taking every moment of that one in.
No doubt. You're check to check too, so that matters.
Yes.
But nevertheless, when you're not at the feast, the team loses. All right. So the team's 3-4. It's great to have you back here, Chad Greenway, and the Minnesota Vikings are big underdogs into this game this weekend. They're 9-point underdogs. And you were never an underdog to the Detroit Lions, and it actually took me about 40 minutes to figure this thing out. you were never an underdog in a game against the Detroit Lions.
That's incredible.
And the Lions are quite good, as we know. But we do have favorite Vikings-Lions or Detroit Lions moments from over the years. I'd like to begin with the 2008 season when they went winless, where the Lions played 16 and lost them all.
Yep.
The Vikings won the division that year, and they got a wild card game at home and lost to Philadelphia. Bad division that year, but nevertheless, the Lions went 0-16 in 2008. And they had a couple of you guys had a couple of meat grinders against them. I mean, trying to put them at 1-15 in one of these 12-10 games, it was aggressive. Hansen kept trying to dagger you late at Ford Field. And how about this? Dante Culpepper had a 70-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Johnson in the Ford Field game in 2008. So when I was looking all of this stuff up, I mean, honestly, I will give you a $100 bill right now. And if you can't name it, there are 5 of them, you'll see. You have to give me 20.
5 $100 bills?
You have to give me a 20, okay? 5 quarterbacks played for the Detroit Lions that season in 2008.
Oh, no chance.
No bet?
No chance.
You don't want
bet.
the 5-1?
No bet.
All right, well, at Metrodome, when you beat them 12-10, that was the game Jared Allen chased Dan Orlovsky out of the end zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you got Orlovsky, you have Dante Culpepper. Any of the constituents here want to throw out any names?
John Hill.
Joey Harrington.
Was there a Kitna in the mix?
John Kitna makes number 3.
Kitna was good, man.
Okay, now the other 2
Really?
have the same first name.
Ooh, man.
Drew Stanton.
Oh, wow.
From the crowd. And Drew
Drew Henson?
Henson.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, they had 5 quarterbacks that year. We like that version of the Detroit Lions a little more than the current one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun.
The one that found a way to go 0-16.
Fans with bags over their heads?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's nearly 2 decades removed from that. But how about a round of applause for the 0-16 Detroit Lions in 2008? Thank you. Thank you very much.
I remember in draft year 06, Lions went 9, took Ernie Sims, linebacker, Florida State University. And I was like, at the time, I was like, God, I would love to be number 9. And then a couple years later, I was like, man, am I happy I'm just pick 17.
Yeah, well, the next year, after 0-16, they had the first overall pick in the draft. Who'd they take?
That would have been Stafford.
Super Bowl winning quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Good choice.
So that's then. This is now. And, that 5 quarterback trick is probably not preferred. The Vikings have already gone through 3, but like Brosmer's come in mop-up type time. So let's begin here with the game changer. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs when he gets out in space. I mean, he's a monster. He's an absolute creature. When Gibbs and Montgomery both score in the same game, which happens. It's a thing, as the kids would say. The Lions are 14-0. So they're going to try to get that little thing going. They got a nice little running game. What do you think of that whole thing? And good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I think when you look about Jahmyr Gibbs' game specifically, I can think back to my career and a couple of guys that absolutely gave you terror when you went to bed at night before the game. The Reggie Bushes, the Darren Sproles, the guy out of the backfield, those just going to give you an absolute problem. Mm-hmm. And the oldest adage from the linebacker coach was, if you were as fast as them, you'd be playing running back. So you better take a good angle. You better cut off his routes. You better make sure you know where your help is and get to him as fast as you can and cover him up. I think this game this weekend, especially with JJ coming back, the state of our offensive line, our ability to stop the run is gonna win or lose the football game, in my opinion. Our ability to play in the line of scrimmage with these guys. Yeah. This thing has been flipped on its head in the last 5 years, where all of a sudden the Detroit Lions are the team in the NFL in the trenches. They're more physical. They're going to beat you up. It's a mentality thing. It's a scheme thing. It's a personnel thing.
Trenches, not just O-line, but like D-line with Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader and Hutchinson. And
it's just grimy, and they're grimy and they're tough. I think if you could define this Detroit team in one word, it's grit. Yeah. They're just kind of that team. And I think it's been a complete flip when Campbell came in, and they've bought in. It matches the personality of the city, and we now have to go in. And teams have to go in Detroit and match their level of intensity in that spot. And I think that's going to be the biggest risk and biggest issue we have.
What are you identifying through a practice week in terms of how to attack that Gibbs and Montgomery duo? Because it feels like a large part of their run game, they want to get Gibbs to the outside. So now I'm looking for a great tackling game, whether it's slot corners or maybe it's Wilson or Cashman that can find their way to the boundary and make a tackle. But on that 78-yarder he had the other week, they absolutely washed out the second level with the O-line. Linebackers nowhere to be found. Right up the middle, 78 to the outside. He outruns everybody. What are you trying to identify over the course of a week that says, here's one thing that they're going to try to do us, and I know we can beat that if we pay attention?
Yeah, I think you have to self-scout, first of all, and understand where are we having our issues. And to me, it's always about simplify. If you can simplify your scheme and take it back to fundamentals where it's just gap control, we have to identify how we take on blocks. Now, you're going to lose one-on-one matchups within a play, and that's sometimes how the game gets busted. The run gets busted, you lose. But you try to simplify your scheme and get back to what you do well in the run game. And I think that's what you have to do here, is you may have to simplify your package entirely in the pass game and coverage, just to simple the communication, less communication, more in-gap control. Make sure you get to your gap. Don't try to cross-face and make a play. Simplify the game. And what makes football so great to me is the best part about football is all 11 have to do their job. And if all 11 are in their gap, doing what they're supposed to do, playing with the right kind of leverage, now it's that guy's job to make the play. And at that point, it becomes a tackling game. So, to me, the biggest caveat here is when you get guys out in space like Jahmyr Gibbs, who is an absolute game changer. That's going to be completely down to tackling in one-on-one situations and how much are we running the backside on a play that we think somebody's going to make the play. We call it loafing. If you loaf on the backside of a play, loaf tracker, you never want to get dinged for that thing. How many hats to the ball are we having on every snap?
I wonder, just as someone whose whole job for a long time was to stop the run, like, how hard has it been for you to watch this defense in recent weeks? Obviously, against Philly, they were better stopping the run.
So you're saying he couldn't blitz or cover the pass?
No.
Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Please don't put me in that spot.
Yeah.
That dang Tampa, too. They don't ever rush the outside backer. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the kids. I mean, just
I know. The kids these days. It's unbelievable.
I think when you look at it, the most frustrating part from a defensive player is when you physically can't beat somebody because you're getting dominated at the line of scrimmage, and there's not a whole lot of things you can do. I've been a part of those teams, too. San Francisco game I always mention because we just got overwhelmed in that game with their physicality. And that's the thing that you risk here. If we don't go with the right mentality and edge to us defensively, it's going to happen. We got to change our mindset. And I think on the flip side, when you're playing with the Williams wall, and our defensive run game was the most dominant in the league for several years, because our mentality was you might get someone in the pass game. We're going to pin our ears back and try to get your quarterback, but you will not beat us running the football.
Right.
And when you control that part of the game, you now dictate to that quarterback, you better beat us. And by the way, we have Jared Allen rushing and these other guys. So that to me but it's more of a mindset in the defensive run game to me as a team. And I think, have we gotten away from that? Is it personnel? I think it's a combination of things.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because how quickly do you change things? The way we're talking about this, the way that, Alec laying it out, establishing the run and stopping the run, two absolute A topics for development of JJ, but also just being competitive in games. You mentioned the personnel aspect of it. There are parts of this where it's like, I don't know if that's going to change. I mean, we all wake up Friday morning and you were with me in the feast and we're like, Kamani Vidal. You ever do that as a player? You walk into the locker room or you're in the film room the next day after a tough loss and you're like, Kamani Vidal. That's a thing that really happened. I'm just worried in terms of, the way you're building it out conceptually. Totally agree, and your experience will stamp that. But how quickly you can change that seems like a problem, and there does feel like from year to year there's something missing, specifically on the interior, that is allowing, whether it's Bijan, who has a right to change games. He's fantastic. Gibbs this weekend, we'll get to see how we handle it. But there's something missing there, man, that just wasn't here a year ago.
Well, the question you asked last week was, who are we? What's our identity? How do we win or lose football games? When you're this far into a season, that's who we are. So we have to flip it and change it because there's enough season left to clearly go win this division and go make a huge impact and make a run.
Let's go. Let's win the division.
We have so many divisional games left. You can't tell me there's not an opportunity to go into Detroit and flip your season. This would completely change the mindset of our fan base, our season, our personnel, our players, our coaches.
You're right.
If you can go in there with the mindset and go do it. The best thing is that we're an underdog. Nobody's giving us a shot. Now, you have to rally around that. And the idea is, like, this is who we have to be. The chip on the shoulder. Like, we are a really good football team. We're going to go prove it. We've had all these things that have happened that come our way you can't control. Injury being the biggest one. but you have to make sure it's a mindset thing. It's like, I don't care if they beat us, but they're not going to beat us this way.
We've done a lot of these together for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And there aren't many times, because football players and coaches are forever looking for an edge. Did you see what so-and-so said here? Did you see what so-and-so wrote there? Did you hear what so-and-so said there? And quite frequently, it's trite. Quite frequently, they're trying too hard to muster and or concoct an edge. That's not the case this game.
Doesn't feel like it.
As 9-point underdogs, I'm not big like national sports, TV, radio guy, but just following the vibe from afar, locally or nationally, there aren't many who are giving the Vikings even a puncher's chance in a game like this against a Lions team off a bye. They're going to get corner Terrion Arnold back. Well, we're happy for him. He has a lot to learn, and just who they are at 5-2, and just losing 5 in a row to them, and O'Connell's never won at Ford Field. I mean, there are just some, and that doesn't even get into what the 200 and change the Vikings just gave up on the running game on the road. I mean, it's just, the list is voluminous when it comes to, I like say I'm on this ESPN show with Cam Newton and his top hat.
First take.
Yeah, and my man's got his top hat. See, for Cam Newton, it's Halloween every day.
Yeah. I would love to see you up there with those guys.
It's Halloween every day with those top hats. But anyway, so if I'm on that show and I'm like, hey, this is with all due respect, but A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and Detroit basically can't lose this game. There is a lot of that bouncing around, I would imagine. So this is the use it as motivation, and it's a legitimate salvo.
Yeah, I think you're talking about a lot of external communication. I want to know what the conversation is in that locker room and in that defensive meeting room, because this is a week where you get called to the carpet by your coach.
Into the game?
After the game last week, into the game this week, you're being challenged from a manhood standpoint, a quality of play standpoint, a how bad do you want it standpoint, like, are you just sleeping on your checks cash standpoint, like, the idea of, like, you have to be challenged, the idea of just your ability to play football from within, from the people you care about their opinion the most. Because you can have an opinion of my game, and, somebody writing in the paper can have an opinion, or the national pundits can have an opinion, but if my coach or my peer has an opinion and they challenge me on that, that's to me what makes the game so great, is when the accountability and the pressure is coming from within to say, we have to clean this up. Because now, let's be honest, jobs are 1,000% at stake. If you can't flip this and turn this around, it's going to be on the coaching staff and the personnel. The fact that if we don't get better personnel, this can't be a yearly thing where we all of a sudden can't stop the run.
It's interesting. I had a long conversation yesterday in the locker room with Jonathan Grenard, and I kind of view him internally as one of, the clear vocal, voice.
It's natural and authentic with him.
Yeah, and he was very, similar to the conversation you just had. Like, he was very upfront of, nobody, like, this has not been enjoyable, and we expect so much more. And I guess, like, it does feel like, and I'm glad you asked Chad, like, and brought that up the way you did. It does feel like right now, like, the motivation and the back against the wall feeling is at the highest that I can probably remember
and
in
it's
a regular,
legit,
and it's right,
and
it's
not concocted.
Right, it's not concocted, and they feel that. Like, you could feel in my conversation with Grenard yesterday, like, that they feel like they have to prove it to themselves internally, and that they're not trying to prove it to the world. They're just trying to prove what they feel like they are, and they have not shown.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, when you boil what makes football so great is it's an emotional game. And when you go on the road and lose and get your butt kicked, and you lack emotion as a football team, like, that's a problem. Now this is a response. And I'm waiting to see the response. And I think we're going to learn a lot about our football team this week.
I agree.
And how much passion they have, the coaching staff. I think it's an important week for us in several levels.
It's a very different circumstances. 2009, you go to the NFC title game, and I know 2010 had a bunch of weird oddities, including some off-field related bits.
What do you mean?
The dome collapsed.
But certain
Sturger.
Yeah, all kinds of.
What do you mean?
Things. But
Snapchat not being invented, or you win the Super Bowl.
The reason that comes to mind for me, though, is the idea that 2009, albeit it ends tragically, the build-up into 2010, we were so close.
Yeah.
Now we're going to run through that door in 2010. And then it started stale. It was weird. There were just bad things happened. We had injuries. We had all sorts of things. Ultimately, Brett hitting his head via Corey Wooten on the College Stadium field, and his career's over. Is there what was it like at that time where you felt like you were in quicksand? You guys probably had moments like this team is experiencing in the locker room now. It just you were never able to get out of it and move forward from it.
It's the 2 steps forward and 3 steps back bit. I mean, you can go and you can do all the right things and say the right things and go to practice and practice the right things and be on your stuff, and things simply may not go your way. Welcome to the NFL. Things happen. The dome collapses. Coach gets fired. Randy Moss bit. I mean, it's a whole 30 for 30 on the 2010 season. So the reality is, and things can slide quick, right? 09 championship game, 2010, coach is fired. We move on. Path the organization completely flips and changes. It happens fast. I think the most important thing is at that point we had a really veteran team, and it was going to start to flip. In this case right now, you can make an argument is like this team is ready to win now, right? So it's
an older roster.
Yeah, it's an older roster. So dare you say, like, these next 2 years are really important, or do you slide the other direction like that happened in 2010, which takes you to 2011 and 12 and 13, which were just mess, other than the Adrian year in 2012, we just hand the ball to him 700 times, and it worked out great. But the reality is, this is a slippery slope. And if you go lay an egg in Detroit, this season is over.
You mean get blown out?
Yep. And not only that, but just you can lose in a tough way.
Yep.
But you watch as a fan and be like, they gave everything they got today.
Yeah.
And I think as a
fight
fan,
them to the wire.
I think as a fan, you always appreciate that. Right? If I'm watching now as a fan, I'm like, you can tell when a team quits.
Like the Chargers game, you start to see the flicker of, like, is the light going out?
Well, look at the Dolphins last night. That is a team where it is freaking over.
It's over.
In a big way.
Yeah, and I think you can feel that from a fan base. You can feel that from the locker room, from the coaches. All of a sudden, the owner spends a couple more days in the office, next week, and everybody feels a little bit of pressure, and all of a sudden my job's at risk, and all of a sudden that thing slides quick. I think this is a man-to-man conversation of it's time to buck up and be a pro, and we got to go put our best foot forward.
Can you feel that slide in the moment, or does it just happen and then you're looking back on it?
I always took it like this, is I have to make sure I take care of my stuff.
Sure.
Because at the end of it, it's not a selfish thing. It's more of if I take care of my P's and Q's and I'm on my stuff, it allows me to be the best version of myself,
which helps.
Which in turn, you hope rubs off on the other guys. And I think that's how you probably stay in the locker room for 11 years.
Yeah.
But not everybody has that mentality because all of a sudden they're starting to think about a vacation and I'm making this much money next year anyways and they're paying me regardless.
Like natural human, in some ways, thoughts.
Yeah. But I think when you have a tighter group and you have a good locker room and you have a good staff, which I believe we have all those things, I don't think that happens to this football team.
One thing into Sunday's game for this team, win or lose, we were talking about priorities at the open of the show, and you watch JJ those first 2 games, and now McCarthy's going to get another chance. Take 2, 2025 edition with McCarthy. Is there one particular thing that you took out of those first 2 games where it's like, if I could see this on Sunday at Ford Field, part of that turning a corner one way or another, hopefully it's in the winner's circle, but either way, one thing you take, you see from JJ on Sunday that's like, all right, I think there's a light on upstairs there.
I want to see the ball out of his hand quicker. Yeah. We know we have our issues. Get the ball out of his hand and put it in the playmaker's hands and let them make plays. I think that's number one. His accuracy within those throws is going to be really important. And this is going to be really dumb to say because this is a kid coming off an injury and had missed the whole year. I want to see them be creative with the play calling of what he can do, which is run the football, which is give people RPO looks that we've been getting hit on for years that we can now do. Freeze that outside linebacker and give JJ the ball the chance to slide and gain 5 on first down. Like, to me, I know that's a dumb thing to say to a kid coming off injury, but you either go play to win the game or you go play to not lose.
Yeah.
Right.
And to me, we go open the play calling. We allow him to do what he does because the kid's athletic, and all of a sudden you run for 5, you might get a little hit. Now you're in the game, you're in the flow, you go make a play.
Chad Greenway, former linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. Chad was part of something very strange in a game against the Detroit Lions back in the day. We will share that and continue to analyze this contest around the corner when we continue at Buffalo Wild Wings Chanhassen for the Friday football. Give it to us on KFAN. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings. Jan Hassan for the Friday Football Feast. One of your biggest fans, in fact, somebody who has a game-worn. What number did you wear at Iowa? 6?
Are you going to act like you don't know?
What was it? At Iowa.
So I
watched you play at Iowa, I was focusing on Abdul Hodge, man.
Hey, smart guy. 18.
18.
I was promised number 8 on my recruiting visit.
Yeah.
I was a no-star recruit, so when I got there, 8 turned into 18 real quick somehow. Yeah,
okay.
Thanks,
well,
Kirk.
Pretty good number.
Great number.
Somebody who has game-worn 18s from Iowa City. And actually...
So they were selling those things. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You didn't get any money for it.
No.
Yeah, no, I think he and his family took a trip to Korea or Taiwan, and they had a bunch of them there, and he came back with one. And it's a little small, but that's okay. And secondly, maybe some game-worn 52s from the purple and gold days. Somebody I know of whom you're very fond, Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, captain of the 83 Wayzata Club hockey team, the most formidable club hockey team in the history of club hockey. In fact, he wore the C for this club hockey team. You know him, right?
Yes.
Well, he reminds me that in, I'm not sure the year, but do you remember when you intercepted a pass against the Lions in the second quarter and you returned it to the Lions 18-yard line? All right? Everybody go crazy, stuff like that.
09?
The Vikings offense, then you took over in the red zone. You had a chance to score, but committed multiple penalties and had a sack and went back to the 40-yard line.
And we punted.
And you punted.
Yeah, that was my last pick of my career.
Are you kidding me?
I know it was U.S. Bank, my last year.
You picked them off, get down to the red zone, Sky Yuma, here we go.
I hit him with one of these.
Oh.
It didn't work. Shocking at 34 years old, whatever I was. Got shepherded out of bounds. We go backwards 30 yards, punt the ball. Probably kicked it in the end zone. Touchback.
Yeah. Then
actually
Chloe
lost.
Probably rip briefer.
I think I took it to the 19, and they got the ball in the 20 when it was done. So we actually lost a yard. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, for some reason, Mouse brings that up occasionally, and for some reason I can't remember that, but it's such an astounding moment. Yeah, well, why didn't you get to the end zone at that stage of your career? Did the 4-4 go to a 4-6?
I had a back, I had a hammy. I had 4 kids.
Yeah.
Well, you used all that speed on that Chargers pick 6 that you had at the college stadium. Didn't you accost accidentally like a security guard or something?
That was Gerald Hodges.
Gerald Hodges.
Gerald Hodges.
Yeah, and props, and there's video of this, by the way. You might have to look hard for it. Props to the Yellow Jacket security person at what was then TCF Bank Stadium, because there was a lot going on in that play.
Yes.
Phillip Rivers right to Greenway. He gets to the house from like 80.
Remember the sideline?
Crowd's going nuts. Yeah, the sideline was unbelievable. Crowd's going nuts. The security person back right of the end zone, making sure nobody runs on the field, never turned around to look at the play.
Focused.
I mean, totally focused. Steely. And Gerald Hodges, a former linebacker trying to celebrate, jumps, doesn't see said security person, buries the person into the wall at TCF Bank Stadium.
Even a fan last night brought this up. He said, man, is that the one where it took you like 30 minutes to get to the end zone? I was like, well, 27 minutes. But he said, what you forget about was like what seemed like a 20-play drive to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm already gassed.
Yeah.
I catch this thing on the 9. I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
I angle right. All of a sudden, there's nowhere. I can't get tackled. If I fall now, it's me tripping. I have to go the whole way, score it. It was great.
You didn't think about just kind of taking a breath and just stepping out midfield?
I mean, did I? And I got one of my favorite moments of my career is I got a he is loose call.
You did.
That's right.
And it was the best. It was way better than any of Adrian's runs ever. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I got that, which I love. I have that audio on my phone.
Half the Greenway at the feast is you just bring up memories and him getting roasted.
But these are good ones, though.
Yeah.
No, right. They are good.
That's what happens when the squad's 3 and 4.
Now, if Nordo didn't produce his show, obviously, because usually it's absolute negative clump, 4th and 20 Bills action, like all the stuff that gets regurgitated every year.
Scott Chandler terrorism Scott Chandler catches a stray out of nowhere.
Well, good times, bad times. Final season, you got the pick against the Lions. You may have also had Eric Swoop in the Colts game.
Oh, end of my career. I mean, in my mind, not in anybody. It didn't actually, because I could have played again.
That was Adrian's final game.
Too. He averaged 13 plays a game that season.
That was the best.
Fumbled it.
They still paid me.
I know.
I was like, wait, I thought I had to play every snap of the game to get paid. No, I just got paid 13. This is amazing.
I got a serious question for you, and this is actually after talking to some people over the course of since the Chargers game. This jumbo package bit, jumbo packages are becoming quite en vogue around the National Football League. So, in our fishbowl, we see what we see under our rock. And that generally is, you're in Dublin, just trying to maybe have a pint, pop around to some pubs and have a good time and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers until you see tackle Spencer Anderson join 6'7" beef-eating tight end Darnell Washington, and then Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell has the best rushing game of his career. All right, so then you move forward, and Judkins from Ohio State does his thing between the tackles and wide. And then you get to the Philly game, and they bring in extra offensive lineman Fred Johnson. All right, complete run look, down and distance, whole thing, deep shot. A.J. Brown, 6, okey doke, got you play. Whole thing's not beautiful, but it was beautiful. And then you get to the Chargers game.
Scott Matlock.
This one got me because 44 Scott Matlock is a seldomly used fullback. All right, I mean, if it's Najee Harris, or if it's Omarion Hampton, the North Carolina rookie, They don't even use him that. They didn't use him that much with them. Well, they played him 38 plays. The 3 games up to the Vikings game, they played this beef eater 41 plays in the Vikings game. Why? Because they couldn't stop him. And I'm so glad when it comes to run defense and the handling of these jumbo packages, because here it comes again. Dan Skipper. I mean, the Lions are OG with the jumbo, by the way. Skipper was doing it before, while my man Matlock was trying to do something at Boise State with Ashton Genty. So they're OG with the jumbo. Here it comes. They got a tight end named Ross Dwelly. Doesn't play a ton.
Wright.
He'll play a ton this weekend. Brock Wright's got a little blocking to him, I guess. So does Laporta. Laporta's actually a nice all-around player. So here it comes again. But what you said earlier with Nordo is so true, man. I tried to share it a little bit like late last week. Coaches, I can't speak for players, but over the years, Zimmer probably was 10 of 10 with this. Leslie Frazier, it would get to him too. When you get run on and you can't stop it, that bugs coaches more than anything I've seen, and that includes turnovers and procedural penalties. Because it's basically week after week, you're in the squared circle, everybody has boxing gloves on, and you're getting knocked out every single week with roundhouses, jabs, and uppercuts. So, how does that slow this weekend, this jumbo package bit? And in fairness, Van Ginkel should be back in the equation.
That's huge, first of all. Second of all, when you talk about the run game not being able to stop it, it's like being the weakest guy at the arm wrestling match, right? You're going to get called out by everybody because everybody wants an easy win. All of a sudden, the only way to get better is to go win some matches, right? To go one-on-one with somebody and win. I think at the end of the day, it's a mindset. And I think when a coach gets so offended by that, especially you think about it, Zimmer, Frazier, defensive-minded coaches, when they have a defense that's not physical enough to hold up against the run, it's an indictment on them as a coach. Now, KOC, offensive coach, quarterback, likes to throw the football. There's different ways to win a football game. Team is built differently. This now kind of falls into the Flores category of defensive coordinator. And how personal is he taking it? Because that's at the end of the day, Flores has been historically good in a lot of different places, done really good here. But what's he known for? Is he known for having just a sheer run-stopping defense, physical up front? No. It's creativity. It's blitz packages. It's being creative with his personnel. I would never think of his game and his calling style and his personnel style as, we're going to stop the run and be physical, and we're going to beat you up the line of scrimmage, and then we'll figure everything else out. No, it's not that. It's exotic looks.
Right.
It's cover the back end. We're going to send pressure. So when you get creative and all of a sudden that's not working, you can't fall back to what you built in training camp because you never built it. If you never built that base of, we're going to beat you up first, you can't go find that week 7. You have to have that ingrained in your DNA from the beginning. I think I'm not saying it's a problem, but it's becoming a problem.
Yeah.
Because Detroit built it how? When we had the Williams Wall, we built it how?
Yeah.
Day 1, we're going to install our run defense with our base fundamental packages, and you will not beat us with that. I'm going to be in my gap. I'm going to spill the ball to EJ. He's going to run over the top of me. Ben's going to take care of the backside.
Nice.
We're going to have every guy in their gap except for Jared, who's probably in the wrong spot. All covered for him too. But the reality is when you build it that way, the first day of pads in training camp is goal line and short yardage.
Yeah.
We're setting the tone with our front. you could fall back and get exotic and get creative, but if you can never do that, you can't go find that week 7 because everybody's beat up, we're hurt. We can't go toe-to-toe in pads week 7 and learn something about each other. You have to set it from the beginning.
If I'm you, I email Holly today. She'll probably get you up to St. Cloud for about 50 large. I mean, you're firing bullets today.
He's on fire.
I'm glad you mentioned Flores, though, because this is an interesting matchup. I know Ben Johnson is gone, but Flores, so many good things, and I know the bottom's kind of fallen out with the rush defense this year. But I would say the Lions have had Flores' number specifically over the last 3 seasons,
Big
maybe
time.
than any other team. And we're seeing...
No matter the personnel, too.
And that's the key. We're inverting safeties a couple of years ago, and it's Amon-Ra uncovered. We're seeing absolute atrocious tackling, and Gibbs is about to be stopped for a gain of 7. Suddenly it's a 56-yard touchdown. No matter what Flores threw at Ben Johnson, he solved it. And Gibbs himself, 8 or 9 TDs in like the last 2 or 3 games. If somebody's offended in that house, it's got to be Flores. We can focus on Darnold in the red zone last year in the finale and all of those things. Ben Johnson, and now I hope Johnny Morton isn't the same, but I mean, they've had our number, and specifically Flores' number, maybe more so than anybody else in the league.
And to amplify that, and I think Alex Lewis can validate it from film watching, outside of the money Cam Bynum got with Indianapolis, I can argue the final 2 games against the Lions ran Cam Bynum out of town. Jameer Gibbs ran him out of town because, I mean, with all due respect to Cam, and we're quite fond of Cam, very nice man, so it's nothing personal, it's business here. I mean, we're talking about 3, 4, 5 awful angles against Gibbs or whomever, and then all of a sudden he's gone in free agency, so I think Nordo hits on a really good point.
To your point, why is it hard? First of all, this is, you have to look at how we're losing football games. So is this an indictment on Flores? I think in some cases it has to be. I'm sure he's taking it that way. I love Brian Flores. I think he's a great football coach, one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. But at this point right now, with the personnel we have and what he's operating with, do you have to change your mindset and mentality towards how you're calling plays? The second thing is, why is it so hard for us to beat them? When you can run the football and then have one of the best play-action passing games in the league.
That's right.
It's complementary football. I'm going to hand it, get 4 on first down, get 6, get a first down, move the chains. I'm going to play action pass. Now all of a sudden you're sucked up because you can't stop the run. I'm going to throw it over the top. Yeah. So it's complementary football. They built it the right way. The play calling fits that. And if you can't stop, they're going to get B easy. All of a sudden, if I'm not as worried about your running game because I've got you, first of all, we're playing ahead. Can our offense stay on the field? Those are all things we talked about off air.
Wow.
That matters the most.
The other thing Brian Flores talked about earlier this week was that this Lions offense has been together. Jared Goff, the offensive line, Amon-Ra, Jameson, so they can adapt. And Brian Flores is like, they can go back to something they did against us 2 years ago and have recall to adapt in game. And that's where this Vikings defense, there are different pieces, so the continuity isn't the same to be able to adapt the way they have, especially when you don't have a Van Ginkel. So I think that's also been part of why they've had so much success against the Vikings, is they've been able to adjust and adapt in game because of the aptitude of their players and the continuity, and that's played a role too. Like I imagine you had experience.
Well, you mentioned Dan Skipper and what's about to happen this week.
Yeah, Dan Skipper.
I met Dan Skipper.
It's about to happen.
That is a mountain of a human being.
Gigantic.
I know.
I met him. I'm like, what is this?
We're happy for him.
Okay, but the reality is this. Why are they doing that? Because at the end of the day, they know that if they line up your limited package with those extra linemen are in there, you have a limited package. You have a couple pass plays off of that, a trick 'em, a got 'em plays, a couple man routes. But they're doing it because they say, we're going to line up. You're not going to stop us.
Yeah.
And until you do that, why would you go away from it? I'm going to hand it to my running back who's really good. The chance of him fumbling is low. You can't stop us. We're going to keep extending the chains. Your defense is going to stay on the field and get soft and weak in the fourth quarter. So, again,
it's mentality.
Now go back to what I said about JJ running the football, RPOs, quick out of their hand. Extend drives. Keep your offense on the field.
There you go.
Get into a rhythm as a play caller. That helps your defense more than anything is because they're fresh. And it keeps the Detroit offense on the sidelines. Can we do that? For what? Once this season? Might be the first. Can we go control the game?
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet.
You're elite. Anything with Grey Duck or Grey Duck spirits this
You're
weekend?
selling the hoodies.
Yeah, we're selling the hoodies.
Hey.
Finally got the Legends hoodies on the site. So go grab the Legends hoodie.
So what's that include? Jared Allen, Kylie Wong, and Kenny Anatolu?
Yes, not Wong.
And Ben
No,
Lieber?
the other two. And I'm actually going to go to Top 10 Liquors in Chanhassen right now, sign some bottles, leave a bunch of stuff there in products. So Top 10 Liquor, Chanhassen, a bunch of signed bottles of Grade Up. Come support. Love it. Thank you.
And before you leave, make sure you watch NFL Network. Manti Te'o is dressed up as Troy Polamalu.
How good is that?
And
It's unbelievable.
like, I gasped a couple of times when you were preaching football there, because I just saw him make two of the greatest imaginary tackles for memory loss that I've ever seen.
Stop it.
So very well done.
You had to do it.
I will say the thoughts on the run game, like that is the conversation that should be happening.
Yeah.
That was really good.
A topic. Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen, can I get a witness? Around the corner, we settle into the fantasy football feast at 10 o'clock, then some bike bites about 10:20. Jason Hatch, go on to stand up. Go on to stand up.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings, Chanhassen. That's our 11 a.m. guest right there. What do you think? God, Vikings fans, are you so stuck at 3 and 4 you can't even boo this knucklehead?
The Midwestern sensibilities.
I know, boy, that's super special.
There we go.
Gray area wins a lot. All right, we'll be right back.
This is the sound of captivity. This is the sound of rescue. And this is the sound of freedom. Give Armenia's captive bears a second chance by supporting International Animal Rescue. Call 508-826-1083 or search The Great Bear Rescue to learn more.